if I got into presidency, right, I wouldn't do anything to necessarily harm black people. See, the thing is, what we're saying is just leave us the fuck alone. They don't do that when they get into office. They have a agenda to make sure that we are at the lowest possible point to where we can never come up and never get past that glass ceiling. That is my issue. I don't give a fuck if he ever does anything for black people. I just want, when people get into office and when they get into these political powers and the powers that be, stop doing shit to make sure that we are in a very fucked up environment. You know what I'm saying? And what I see with a lot of people that are in power, they make sure that they over police our neighborhoods, give us the lowest quality of food. They make sure that we are in an environment that we cannot rise to be better than who we are.
Well, yeah. So I remember you said it's a fear. For me, see, okay. So I'm a nice person, right? I believe in good faith. So with that understood, you're gonna have to deal. You're gonna have to contend with them offering the defense of we're just looking out for our own. There's arguments around that. I'm like, motherfucker, y'all 60% of the population. Why y'all got 90% of the wealth? Things like that. You know what I'm saying? And then there's other ones that will kind of take the conversation from the poor white standpoint. Or that some people try to say weird things about, oh well, y'all got, what about your black privilege? What about your black privilege? You know what I'm saying? These are easily dismantled arguments. You know what I'm saying? But once you shave off all that meat and get directly to the bone of the matter, it's going to be something besides preservation of the white race. If we're 20% of the population, once we receive 20% of the nation's wealth, then all the wealth we receive after that should go towards the upkeep and upkeep of the other nations that live within the nation of the United States. If America invests in black people, they are also investing into America. What's up, everybody? Chicago Black Delegation podcast here with hit y'all with another video. The election season is rolling around, as we all probably know. It's 2024, and there's been a lot of awakening going on around here. If you all kind of notice or not, but I want to say for the past 40 years, 30, 40, 50 years, black people have been primarily voting Democrat because for a myriad of reasons. Some people say the Republicans are a bunch of racists. Other people say Democrats help black people the most. And other people say the Democrats are the closest socialists, and other people just want a free handout. It's a myriad of reasons, a lot of reasons to vote Democrat, depending on your perspective, which is fine. But one thing we've been noticing amongst the black community, aka FBAs, aka ADOS, American Freedmen, is that we're growing impatient with the Democratic Party. Here on the Chicago Black Delegation podcast, we speak a lot about the turning to alternatives as far as this upcoming election. So let's check out what some people have been having to say regarding this electoral season in relation to black people.
And it worked. But of course, Simone Sanders acting like she didn't know anything about it. And when she got called on it, the best she could do was say, well, the 94 crime bill wasn't perfect. No, it actually was perfect. It was meant to go after black people, to specifically racially target us, and it did that. Those laws worked exactly the way that they were designed to. You see, we also remember, though, how Joe Biden made a bunch of phony promises 4 years ago. He promised a lift every voice plan, whatever the hell that was. But after he won the presidency, he never mentioned it again. He promised a White House-level police accountability commission. But as soon as he was announced the winner of the 2020 election, he immediately said that he changed his mind because he suddenly realized he just didn't have time for a White House-level police accountability commission. He only realized that after he won the presidency. He also promised a George Floyd Policing Act. He promised a John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Whatever became of any of that? Now, sure, most of these empty gestures weren't even substantive, but they were specifically promises that he made to black voters in exchange for our votes. But even these empty do-nothing gestures were simply too much for Biden to do. He only proposed these gestures because he could see black voters were going to stay home in 2020, just like we had in 2016. He had to pretend to be serious about policies meant for us. So black voters gave him a chance, and no sooner than they called the results in his favor, Biden was already backtracking on all of it. He hadn't even taken office yet, and he was already saying he wasn't going to do any of the stuff he promised. He was determined not to set a precedent where black people are actually going to get something for their vote. That's what this was about.
All right. So yeah, any comments on Joe Biden's inability to deliver on his promises that he promised black folks specifically in exchange for our votes, which is a really big deal.
Police, politicians, thieves, all the same thing, man. They making these promises to get these votes without any intention on delivering. Plain and simple. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Yeah,
man.
You tripping. You tripping hard as hell.
For real.
And I don't mean just up and down the tarmac either. He real life, like, and the same thing with Mitch McConnell. Like, a lot of these people just coming into office very old, and like these figureheads act like the people don't know what they can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't just make both Democrats and Republicans agree to pass a certain thing. Like, he does what's in his power, but a lot of that stuff he doesn't have any intention on backing up. Like, he's just there to talk.
Well, I guess they don't call him Jim Crow. What he's called? Jim Crow Joe?
Yeah,
for no reason.
Jim Crow Joe.
Yeah, I think he just fooled the people, man, to get the votes. I think he's a very racist, undercover racist that is putting in a lot of policies to put black people in jail and keep them in jail.
Crime bill, 95, what, 94, 94 crime bill?
Yep. And he wasn't he a senator at the time or something? He signed off on it or advocated for it.
He heavily advocated for it. Before that, he was a state senator and worked very closely with a segregationalist. We hear a lot of that from Kamala Harris before she became a bootlicker. I'm not bootlicker. Vice president.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Well, I don't know, man. I think the Democratic Party is just it has gotten us to be very, very much so dependent on a government system that does not have our best interests at heart, man. So. All
right. Before you get Kano'd again, what's that man name from? What's that dude from Mortal Kombat? I don't know, the one that throws the hat.
Kung
Lao. Yeah, before you get Kung Lao, what do you think about politics?
First and foremost, I dodged that fatality. Yeah. I noticed this. I'm not the biggest person in politics. I try to get into it, just try to understand the disparities that happen to our people, but it do seem like Joe just came up with a bunch of promises, and we had to pick one racist over another one. We probably should stay with the latter of the previous races.
Okay.
Man,
all right.
I ain't lying.
Oops. Okay. All right, agreeable. The Democrats have been, for the most part, failing with the black community. Although a lot will typically argue that, hey, if it wasn't for the Democrats, we wouldn't have to have things like the what was that called? The Obama, what was that called? The
Obamacare?
Yeah, Obamacare, yeah. Which, some people like the Obama. There's people that like the Obamacare, but I've also heard bad things about Obamacare as well. But then other things like insulin prices and just like the general things that the Democrats do to help most people. Whereas the Republicans seem to put a lot of that funding into the things like the military, you know what I'm saying? So, so that it is important to note that that the Democrats do seem to be the more humanitarian party between the two, but it kind of just you kind of have to be really well aware of like the details of what you're voting for before you actually jump the gun and assume that one party is better than the other in all aspects. So there's it's not just simply about who's doing the most for the people. Sometimes it's about the migrant situation, and that's a big talking point of a lot of FBA brothers, because a lot of us are pretty content, or a lot of us are pretty convinced, right, that the migrant situation is going to hit hard in the black communities first, and black people first. More for the reason being that these people seem to be in mostly low income, already crime infested places for the most part, but mostly places that is just that needs help already, or the people that are living in these neighborhoods need help. And all the help is going to these migrants instead, and that's due to the actions of the Democrats. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said, it's a lot to unpack, and just voting blue no matter who is just, it's not the take. It's not what we need to be going after here on out. And that video was presented by a good, very intelligent brother. Goes by the name of Professor Black Truth. Very interesting name to say the least, but he definitely put a lot of work in. Has a whole lot of subscribers, and like I said, we definitely appreciate his wisdom on, especially here on the Chicago Black Delegation. Coming up next is a video from a good friend, Fanatic, and he has a lot to say as a reminder to black people about the Republican Party and especially Donald Trump.
Trump said to black people when doing his election.
I say it again, what do you have to lose? Look, what do you have to lose? You're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed.
Isn't that amazing?
What the hell do you have to lose?
He said, you're living in poverty. Your schools are no good. You have no jobs. 58% of your youth is unemployed. What the hell do you have to lose? That was his appeal to black people. You think so lowly of us that we have nothing to lose. It's not I'm going to give you anything on your platform. It's not I'm going to actually pay attention to your needs like I did for these poor white folks in Appalachia. It's what do you got to lose? Y'all are failing anyway. That's your bill? That's your bid? Disgusting. How about if I talk to literally any of you guys about what stop and frisk was? Every black person who has any education will immediately tell you how absolutely atrocious stop and frisk was for black folks. We all knew it. I think they called that broken windows policing. And basically, cops used that to just immediately harass any black people. You would just be black walking down the street and they would stop you, frisk you, trying to find stuff. They were predominantly searching black folks and couldn't find anything. There was nothing that said, hey, yeah, we're guilty or any of that. Eventually, they got rid of it and said, hey, it was really unconstitutional. It seemed like you were just targeting black people. It didn't even do anything. It wasn't effective. You never found contraband on these people. It was awful. You were harassing random black people. Black people didn't feel safe just to walk down the street. You know what Trump said when he was running? We should bring that back. We need to bring back stop and frisk. It was a great thing.
But I really don't believe in New York City, stop and frisk, we had 2,200 murders, and stop and frisk brought it down to 500 murders. 500 murders is a lot of murders. Hard to believe. 500 is like supposed to be good. But we went from 2,200 to 500, and it was continued on by Mayor Bloomberg, and it was terminated by current mayor. But stop and frisk had a tremendous impact on the safety of New York City, tremendous beyond belief. So when you say it has no impact, it really did. It had a very, very big impact.
The man has been antagonistic toward black people. So has the Republican Party. I can hate Biden all day long. That doesn't mean that I don't see the Republican Party for what it is.
Okay, so again, that's just a friendly reminder to black Americans that because there is despite the inability or the continued benign neglect of black Americans or black American issues, directed at the Democratic Party, of course, that does not mean that we should lead pathway to voting for the Republican Party. Fanatic here is making the case that, granted, it's a problem that Democrats are participating in this stuff. That they don't want to solve this. They want to come up with solutions for black Americans. That does not mean that the Republicans are jumping at the opportunity to serve the black American community. You know what I'm saying? So I want to turn this over to my panelists. What's y'all kind of take on the Republican Party as it stands right now? Specifically Donald Trump, since that's the kind of the next, the runner up here, the guy that's leading the charge.
I mean, okay, shit. Well, but with the Republican Party, I mean, it serves those who see it as useful, like the upper class, middle to upper class. Those.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of black people that say that they made money when Trump was in office. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why they voting again for Donald Trump. That's like it's definitely pertaining to what your current disposition is towards. Towards individualism for the most part, from what it seems like, at least.
Yeah. But it's clear that, you know what I'm saying, his overall message is for America, but I mean, you know what he mean by that, you know what I'm saying, white America.
Okay.
He has to give us a section talking about your schools are horrible, you have no jobs. There's plenty of jobs in the hood. It's just people got to go out and get it. You know what I'm saying? People don't, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of people aren't motivated, you know what I'm saying? And that's why unemployment is so high.
I would say that's a big reason why. I don't want to put all of it.
Can't say it's number one.
The thing is, like, these are jobs, but these are like Walmart. You know what I'm saying? These are like jobs where there's not not all of them, but a lot of them are just kind of dead end jobs where there's not going to be much more progression within the job itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true. Very true. Dead end jobs is all around us. Like, and it seems to be the most highest paying jobs for the working class are dead end jobs. Like coal mining, oil rigging, those are dead end jobs. But I mean, it pays a lot. Shit, working at home with disposal pays a lot of money for the working class. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it leads you nowhere. It's just money to get you just to get you by, paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No wealth being built. With no wealth being built, there'll be no ability, no mobility to create things for the community that can solve your issues.
Exactly.
It's the wealth that's going to be able to. It's the wealth that's gonna that can change things for your community for the better. They can, or in other words, change the trajectory of your communities.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody else? Any extra statements?
Well, like I said before, I feel that Trump would be the lesser of the evil.
Interesting.
And like, you know, I just don't think that Joe Biden has the best interest at heart for blacks. Like I said before, I don't think that Trump's an outright racist, but I do think that he doesn't really give a fuck about black people. And just like Biden, I think that he used whatever talking points and tactics he can to get the votes from blacks. You know what I'm saying? My position on it, I feel like I'm gonna just take the couch and not vote for anybody. Keep my votes local. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe that if Trump was in office, I don't think he would do anything directly to try and criminalize or harm black people. I mean, the stop and frisk thing or whatever. Yeah, I think he has some bad takes and some bad views on certain things in relation to black people, but I don't think he has set plans out to denigrate or put us in imprisonment like Joe Biden. Joe Biden has actual plans to harm blacks. I don't think he has that. I just think he just have a non-giving a fuck kind of perspective for black people. So
Okay.
I'll take the couch on it though. I don't think I'm voting for nobody. Shit.
Okay. Let me ask you something real. People get thrown this a lot with the whole who cares about black people when they're in presidency. If you was a president, right? You have all these policies and rules and stuff like this. You as a black man, would you push your efforts towards the black community first before every other community? Or would you try to diversify what you do because you are the face and the president of the country itself?
That's an interesting question.
Before you answer, I only say that because if you look at the presidency and what it is to be a president, you can think of it as like, what's a bad example of a reference? You say that because the Avatar, right? Mm-hmm. He could be born an air nomad, he could be born a Fire Nation nomad, whatever the case it be. Whenever he takes rank, he has to make the betterment of the world as a whole, regardless of his allegiance of what he's born to, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to imagine that most people that get into the presidency because of racial connections are typically going to look out for their own first, to some monetary degree, right? And then I think that's a problem because black people, white person in there, black people don't really get much shit out of it. If a Mexican ever made it in there, nobody really getting that shit out of it. All of Mexico will be the new America. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, I get where you're coming from. So, in politics, if we're not paying attention, when other races, other ethnical groups get inside of any type of political power, they do look out for their own people first. That's just what it is. Everybody does it. Now, to kind of piggyback off your point, if I got into presidency, right, I wouldn't do anything to necessarily harm black people. See, the thing is, what we're saying is just leave us the fuck alone. They don't do that when they get into office. Mm-hmm. They have a agenda to make sure that we are at the lowest possible point to where we can never come up and never get past that glass ceiling. That is my issue. I don't give a fuck if he ever does anything for black people. Mm-hmm. I just want, when people get into office and when they get into these political powers and the powers that be, stop doing shit to make sure that we are in a very fucked up environment. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And what I see with a lot of people that are in power, they make sure that they over police our neighborhoods, give us the lowest quality of food. They make sure that we are in an environment that we cannot rise to be better than who we are. If America just left black people alone, we will surpass most of the races here in America within about 50 to 100 years or less.
That's debatable, but
it might be, and that's my opinion, right? But I believe that.
So to your detriment, and you're right, they do tend to make policies and stuff that kind of fuck us up, right? But so here's the problem with that though. Whenever you're looking out for your own people, other people are gonna fall behind because of it. You see what I'm saying? Whenever you get a new job, whenever you get a placement in life or money status, what the case may be, you get that car, what the case, you are putting whenever you put your people first, other people are going to fall behind. You know what I'm saying? When you get your kids into that private school, somebody else's kids ain't going to be able to get in there. So when you're in presidency and you be like, okay, I'm not going to do anything to white people, Mexican people, Dominicans, whatever's in this country, I'm going to just do for black people. But the only way to keep them in power or put them in a position to get power, you have to take power away or the potential power from other people. There's no even way to do that.
Not necessarily, and I would say this, that has been done to us for how many years now? Where it's like a person gets into a position of power and then elevate their own and then leave us behind. Now, I believe this is just my opinion. I believe that if you were to help blacks be into a better economical situation, it would in turn boost the economy of America. You know what I'm saying? Because blacks do create businesses. Black people do spend a lot. We have $1 trillion in spending power that we give out to other races of people. It never circulates.
Mostly white people. Mostly white people because of the bills we have to pay. That's where most of that money is going. Just so you know.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that if you were to put blacks into economical power, you wouldn't be harming the country at all. In fact, it probably would start helping other people.
Well, it's
because
not-
we don't spend dollars outside of the U.S. Every other ethnical group spends their money outside of the U.S., whether they sending money back to their families, whatever they're doing, that dollar is not necessarily circulating in the United States. So when you give money to us, it circulates. You know what I'm saying? It circulates right back in the U.S. and it builds the economy.
But somebody has to fall for others to rise. That's just how the world works. Period. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say, for example, you get in presidency and you put black people up, right? You make your whole cabinet black. You put all black senators, a whole judicial system black. You know what I'm saying? Everybody black everything. And black raised in the power to the equivalent or more than white people. So let's say this is just hypothetical. What race is going to fall behind and now become the new black?
Hispanics.
No, I didn't feel like they might be right behind us.
I don't think.
Hold on. And then on top of that, blacks be like, oh, we don't have anything. We got nothing for ourselves. This is not our country, not our land. How do you feel about the Native Americans? They got tiny little spots over there in Montana, southern Washington State,
Oklahoma.
and maybe in Oklahoma. Small piece of land that they have to stay on. They can't go nowhere else.
That
They
is
really gonna fall behind.
That's what
that
they
is
wanted, though, right?
Yeah, that's what they wanted, and that's such a debatable topic because
That's not what they wanted.
that's such a debatable topic because we're not absolutely 100% sure that it was just those so-called Native Americans. There has been evidence that there were black people here already in the United States. That's not something that I want to go deep into, but it's a lot of $5 Indians too. A lot of white folks claiming to be Native Americans that are not Native American. You know what I'm saying? Now, to go back to your point, I don't think that if you put black people into power, I do not believe that we're the kind of people that will get into power and start beating down on other races of people.
Oh,
I just haven't seen it in my time. It may could happen because when you put somebody in a position of power, it does create this kind of like macho kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They did an experiment with that when they had the students do prisoners versus prison guards.
Yeah.
And those people, and it was just a experiment, just a study, but they saw that those people that was in power, the students that was in power, were overdoing it. So I don't know, but I would say this: I don't think that nobody will fall by the wayside. I think that at this point we're all capable and intelligent enough to pull ourselves out of poverty. What I am saying is, stop trying. This system that we live in the United States is systematically trying to keep us down. If they just left us alone, we would rise above everybody here, I believe. That's just my opinion.
So how do black people maintain power if not taking potential power from anyone else? Because someone is going to rise and take your crown. That's just the proclivity of the way the world works. This is every culture.
I don't look at it as taking power. You're looking at it as like I come up and I say, hey, I'm the new king now, you're the peasant. I look at it as we can coexist and I'm in a power position versus you're in a power position, but I'm in environmental struggle. Just like with the rats. Like we can talk about the rat experiment. When they took the rats and put the rats into a bad environment, and those rats were less intelligent, those rats were more violent, and those rats were harming the good rats. They put some rats in a good environment and put some rats in a bad environment. The rats that was in a good environment, they were more intelligent, they flourished better, everything was better. They took them same rats and put them into a bad environment, and them same intelligent rats became less intelligent and even went to the environment of the so-called bad rats and stole all of their shit.
Now you just proved my point still with even that analogy. Because you had to take something from someone to put yourself in a predicament.
But here's what I'm saying.
Because that's how the whole experiment went. They took from one and gave it to the other, and they watched the decline of one set of rats versus another set of rats. So when you're talking about people that go into presidency and they want their people to come up, somebody has to be taken from.
No, I think you're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying leave us alone and let us build our own communities. That way poverty becomes less and less and less. See, the problem that we're having in the United States right now is that a certain amount of people is subjected to poverty, and that's what in turns make these so-called violent people and these people that you and it's not a power thing. It's not that I'm coming to take the power away from you and put you in my position. I'm asking to be left alone so that I can make my position better. I can't make my position better if I'm constantly being pulled over by the police. If I try to get a fucking job, or if I try to do something better for myself, you come and tear it down. Plain example of that is Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they was building their community, and these motherfuckers, white motherfuckers, military dropped bombs into these neighborhoods.
So let me ask you a question.
It's not a switching of roles, is what I'm saying. It's not a switching of positions.
Why do you
going to power and then putting you in poverty?
Okay.
No, I'm saying I'm gonna finish. I'm not going into power and then putting you in poverty. We're not switching roles. That's what I'm saying.
So why do you think they are doing that? This group of people. Why do you think they are constantly keeping black people down?
It's fear. It's fear on so many. It's fear on so many levels.
You know what it is. Fear of what?
It's fear that they feel that we're going to do the same to them that they've done to us. It's fear that
taking up power.
Hold on. It's fear. It's fear that the narrative that we are less intelligent and less than them will prove to be not true. That is what it is. See, they have pushed this narrative to so many people in America that we are less intelligent, we fight, we're violent, we're all of these things that they have pushed on TV, and all of these narratives they have pushed on these people to look at us less than, and they fear that when we rise, that narrative will no longer be true, and that they have spewed out a bunch of bullshit. And then on top of that, they feel like we're going to do to them what they've done to us, and I don't think we'll do that.
You're just covering the nuances of the taking of power still. To keep their people in power, they have to take power from us. They can take power from other races. If you want to keep your people in power, keep your people in relative, keep your people in positions, you have to prevent other people from being able to take that position. It's the taking of power.
But that doesn't mean they're going to be in poverty.
You still have to take power.
We can take. We can
take the
listen. We can take the power, and white people will still be okay. We will never do to them what they've done to us.
We are not a kumbaya race. I don't know why you keep treating black people like we are.
I didn't say that we were.
Fives and smiles.
I didn't say that we were. But I believe that if we were in power, we would never try to purposely keep them impoverished. They purposely try to keep us impoverished.
You know, a big majority of black people don't like Mexicans.
A big majority of Mexicans don't like black people. So
what
are you saying?
Right. But see what I'm saying? So if you have a big majority of black people that get into power, who do you think they're going to mistreat? The people that did them wrong and the people they don't like to begin with. Just like the white people. They treat black people wrong because they have an opinion of us, and they treat Mexicans like shit because, well, fuck them.
Man, we live with Mexicans, though.
Right. So I'm not
together with them.
To hammer all this down, I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I am saying is that if someone goes into presidency of a particular race, they're going to uphold their people. But to maintain power, the only way to maintain it and keep your people within power, you have to keep other people down. Can there be a rainbow kumbaya amongst all the races? No, absolutely not. Too many cultural differences, too many different religious beliefs, all the things like this that separate us as a people as a whole, as a human race.
All right, I know we want to move on to the next subject, but I have to ask you this. If there is a king that rules over a certain society, do he have to keep those people down, or do they have a mutual understanding and respect for him being the king?
Okay, I got a counter question. Name a culture or a kingship that did such thing. Name one.
I can't name one, but I can tell you this:
there are cultures. The Hebrews.
There are cultures. No, those were outside people that come in and take over.
I'm talking about that were put down and held into captivity.
They could have had their own kingdom. They wasn't put into captivity on purpose.
Okay, you can look at the tribes in Africa that do the same things to each other. They're the same people looking at each other. You can look at the different cultures that go to European. When you talk about the Scots and the Irish, when they go into power, they held people down. To keep the Scots in power, they held the Irish down. It's accommodating the Germans and the Jews.
I mean, you are right. You are right in that sense. But what I'm saying is, if I'm a village of people and we have a king and I'm the king, do those people mutually respect me? They're not trying to overthrow me. What I'm saying is the United States is one. We are not a divided, separate entity from someone else. You're saying like the U.S. That would be like the U.S. versus Britain or something like that, or the U.S. versus South America or something like that. And then those people feel pushed out and different from the U.S. and now they want to come and take control and power of what we have. What I'm saying is we are one village. We are one people. If blacks were in power, then other races of people would just respect it. The same within the army. Like my friend become the sergeant and I respect him not because he's my friend, but because he's the goddamn sergeant. It is his turn to rule. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to try to overthrow him or get mad at him and say, well, you pushing me down. No, it's respect the power. That's all I'm saying. We don't have to, because black people are in leadership roles and in power, that doesn't in turn mean that we have to push the next person down to where we just came from. That's all I'm saying, man.
I think I'm pretty sure he knew what you were saying the whole time. Y'all was just I think y'all understood each other like 3 times already, but that's fine. Jay, don't respond to this. But Jay, do you have to take on what kind of you have an opinion about what they just spoke about before I say my piece and we can move on? Yeah, there's going to be exchange of wealth that happens. Because we are living under a capitalistic system that is likely the best economic framework that humans are going to be able to come up with. It's not necessarily the system that's flawed. It's just the people that flawed the system. With that said, that yes, again, there's going to be exchange of wealth that happens. I would argue that the best way of going about that redistributing some of that wealth, right, is to go after the people that attain that wealth by nefarious means. And I'm talking about racism, right? I'm talking about redlining, talking about even predatory loans. If you can prove that to be a thing where they went after black people because of the color of their skin, which some people have proven that.
Yeah.
So it's like when you kind of redistribute the wealth back into the hands of the oppressed by those means, then yeah, it will naturally flow into the right hands. I mentioned this a few times already. Currently, black people only make up between 14 to 20% of the United States population. Yet we have less than 1% of the shared wealth in America. Just for everybody to understand, apparently there's a lot of different understands what wealth is. Let me just define that real quickly. Wealth is defined as the money that you have left over once you're done paying all your bills and you're done paying your your belly is full and all the stuff that you don't want to spend your money on every month, all that stuff is paid for. It's the money left over. What you do with that money is considered to be your wealth. Also, things that kind of contribute towards your wealth is the things that you purchase, such as your home, such as your car, your location. It can be considered as a sort of a wealth. Like anything that can also lend to your propensity to gain more money can be defined as it's all under this umbrella of wealth. So again, with that said, as far as raw money, as far as raw income, whites make up 60% of the population, but they hold 90% of the wealth. And I'm just saying, for black people being such a high population, but such a low wealth share, and you're looking at whites being 60% of the population, but hold 90% of the wealth. I mean, come on now. I mean, they're not gonna do. I mean, obviously not to pick on like the poor whites or anything like that. Of course, there's poor whites. But for the whites at the highest echelon, that they're just essentially just hold on, like they're just holding on to their money, holding on to their wealth, and not doing anything with it. When there's people out here that they owe money to, you know what I'm saying, that are also starving, so on and so forth. It will make sense for us to go after those people, in my opinion, or what I would rather say, it would be okay, those the wealthy that hold all that, hold the nations, the majority of the nations wealth. I mean, Kanji, you probably do understand this as well, especially with your understanding, your research. The only the people I want to say what the top 10% are the ones that make the $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then I believe the top 2%, is it the top 2%? Either the top 2% or the top 10% has more money or more not income, but more wealth than the bottom 90%. I believe, but I think it's the top 5%.
Like a 1% thing. Ain't like the 1%.
Damn, that's crazy. So if you tell me the top 1% has more wealth than the bottom 99%, is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is 1%.
So that's all I'm trying to say here. If they lose it, they not gonna. They still be able to live well.
I do have a question. You said white people hold 90% of the wealth. Black people hold
as a group, as a collective,
as a collective,
which is kind of unfair to the poor whites, but it is,
Yeah, that's what it is. And you said the black people hold what percent of the wealth?
Less than 1%. That means they live paycheck to paycheck, more or less.
What are the Hispanics and the Native Americans percentiles?
I do not. Or Native Americans. Well, the Native Americans is it's such a weird concept because they don't even like, they live outside of the norms of society. They don't even I know they get funding for their communities and stuff like that, but I don't even know, like, how do they even, like, I don't, there's too much I don't know about Native Americans. Maybe I should research on it. But the only thing I do know is they do get money for upkeep of their communities, but I don't even know if they exchange money like that outside for things like beer.
You ever seen
that? No, they go to liquor stores and buy beer and stuff.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I know is they get.
But outside that, I don't think they get taxed.
When I was working out there in New Mexico, Albuquerque, most of the homeless I came across were Native Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like, when you look at their communities, it's fucking tinfoil houses, the little elongated houses sit on stilts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would admit that's an issue as well. I definitely don't think blacks should be picking on them. I don't think blacks should be picking on anybody that's under us.
Yeah.
But like, I would definitely suggest punching up in a situation like this. If we can, but as far as I'm concerned, if you would have asked Marcus that question about what Marcus do, higher thinking do as far as money, as far if he was president, there's some things that blacks are owed money on, and then after we get that, I'm cool, because like I think in my opinion, blacks should shoot for a wealth share that is equivalent to our population density. Once that happens, I think we should start actually contributing towards the upbringing of other communities.
Can you explain that? I don't really understand.
So what I mean by it is, if we're 20% of the population, once we receive 20% of the nation's wealth, then all the wealth we receive after that should go towards the upkeep and upkeep of the other nations that live within the nation of the United States. I think
that's a good answer.
That's a fair, yeah. I like that.
Answer. That's a great answer.
So what that would do is, instead of white people massaging all these other nationality groups, and no offense to those nationality groups, obviously, I'm glad y'all living comfortably and things like that. But if they start massaging blacks to like they massage these other nationality groups, we don't have a mothership, right? We don't have a nation to send our money to, because I mean, good job, motherfuckers, y'all erased our history. You know what I'm saying? So again, we don't have anything to send money back to. And you know what? Some of us believe that we ourselves are Native Americans. So we will hold even deeper connection to this place. Cut me some slack, but I'm just saying that's for that population.
Yeah.
That's for that population.
At this point, we are Native American. I mean,
let's not. No, we're not doing
this. Point,
you're triggering them.
At this point, we've been here. At this point, black people.
We already been you that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I ain't trying to put us on the same point as those Native Americans, but I mean, shit, we have been here as long as anybody, and we are old. Okay,
there's a different.
We're old as much as anybody else is out in this motherfucker. Okay. So that's what I'm saying.
I mean, is there any proof?
Hey Jay, just understand, there's like a big conversation in the group chat regarding that, and he's talking about something different. He's talking about something different. He's not talking about what
What we were
what
talking
King
about.
what King Savage is talking about.
Jesus.
Okay, can I ask this question though?
What you got? Oh wait, let me just finish. Let me just wrap up my point. I'm gonna get right to you. So, like I said, so when they massage the businesses of Black Americans and ADOS, aka Hebrews, aka American freemen, then yes, we will have a higher propensity to assist to the other nations, because we will be able to empathize with those other groups. You know what I'm saying? And if you for the selfish among us, we are gonna have to do some in-house cleanup to make sure that the stingy ones among us are dealt with. But all I'm trying to say is, if America invests in Black people, they are also investing into America. If they invest into these other nationality groups, they are investing into their motherships, which is across seas.
Okay, that's fair.
Can I ask a question?
What you got?
What is the, in your opinion, man? What is the fear? What is the reason behind it that they're not trying to do that?
Well, yeah. So I remember you said it's a fear. For me, see, okay. So I'm a nice person, right? I believe in good faith. So with that understood, you're gonna have to contend with them offering the defense of, we're just looking out for our own. There's arguments around that. I'm like, motherfucker, y'all 60% of the population, why y'all got 90% of the wealth? Things like that, you know what I'm saying? And then there's other ones that will kind of take the conversation from the poor white standpoint. Or that some people try to say weird things about, oh well, y'all got, what about your Black privilege? What about your Black privilege? You know what I'm saying? It's not easily dismantled arguments, you know what I'm saying? But once you shave off all that meat and get directly to the bone of the matter, it's going to be something besides preservation of the white race. What white people are struggling with right now, especially white men, is I want to say incel so bad, but that's not the right word. It's not. They're not
a conversation.
They're not incels, right? These men can get sex because they have money to buy sex. It's just, come on now. When it all said and done, they can pass some prostitutes, so they're not incels.
But we know it's a different energy, though. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But they have a problem with their women right now. Their women are wearing all these weird color hairs. They're stapling wieners between their legs.
Oh,
they're going across seas. They're getting with like men of other races and stuff like that. Like, they have a problem with their women right now, even though they're doing a pretty okay job of hiding it. Shout out whatever podcast. That was for you. But yeah, even though they do a pretty good job at hiding it outside of some, a specific podcast like that, this still is very much so a pretty decent problem. You know what I'm saying? So again, to answer your question, Real, they will tell you it's the preservation of our race. We're worried about replacement. We're worried about people replacing us. We're worried about this. We're worried about that. What they're truly worried about right now is their declining population, but that has nothing to do with their wealth. That has more so to do with their inability to connect with their women.
Man, that's something right there, man.
Hard thinking, baby.
Damn.
Anybody else?
I'll go with that for now.
All right. Y'all heard it from me first, and that will be y'all will get a short of that.
Oh.
Let's then we can move on to the last video.
Hey, if you ain't gonna be into you, then who the fuck is?
Oh God!
You gotta love yourself, you know.
Yeah,
some self love, man. Shit.